Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. We are very happy to introduce you to our show titled Speak of Africa. We have another great show for you today. There's so much news breaking out in Africa. Today, we're going to talk about Generation Z, the generation of Zoomers. You know Zoom, right? Where you have meetings, webinars, and stuff. This is the generation that grew up using Zoom. This is the generation that grew up using social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest. That's the Generation Z. Then what about other elements of this generation? These are young people who grew up on the internet. They know how to use the internet, and they know how to use a lot of these new technologies. Okay? So that's how they grew up. So they have special characteristics. They are very smart. They are very independent. So this new generation is very, very fearsome. Most of them are less than 35 years old. So they grew up with social media. They grew up with the internet. So they are really different from the old generation, people like us. Okay? So these young people are armed with a lot of tools. And they have decided that they don't want to take things for granted anymore. Our generation and the generation of our forefathers decided to tolerate colonialism, corruption, and all the ills. This new generation has said no. They are the never again generation. They are saying no to the ills of the past. They feel the mistakes made in Africa should have been corrected a long time ago. So they feel like this is their turn. They are cursed to set things right for the first time because Africa is going the wrong way. And now they are ready to set things straight. And you can see this happening with the young people you find in Kenya. We're going to talk about Kenya a lot today, but we're just putting things straight so you can understand the context of the news of today. When you look at what is happening, then even in France, we spoke to you a few weeks ago about the new elections in the EU, the center-right parties of Marine Le Pen and other politicians in other countries. These center-right parties are against immigration. They don't want African migrants to come to Europe. We'll talk to you about them. So people like Marine Le Pen won handsomely. So Emmanuel Macron at France has called early, or what we call snap elections. So this is the climate that we're dealing with. And of course, a lot of our young people have been running away from Africa in search of greener pastures in Europe and America. When the far right is winning, who is losing? Of course, the African youth is losing. So they know this, and they are deciding now to fight back. And it looks like when we look at the African youth of today, the baby boomers of the new Generation Z, we look at them like people who have had enough of all this nonsense. Then they want to correct the mistakes of their parents. They want to make sure that things are done correctly. And that's why they are holding their governments into account. So we see the revolution, and this revolution reminds us of the days of the Boston Tea Party, the early days of the American Revolution. What really caused the American Revolution? It looks like the Generation Z of Africa is inspired by the American Revolution. You remember the Boston Tea Party? You know, America was a colony of Britain. You had King George, who had his East India Company, which was buying tea from China and other places of Asia. Then they will bring the tea to America. Then they don't have to pay any taxes. Yet the British Parliament will make rules so that the people in America will suffer under those rules. And that's why they started saying, no representation, no taxation without representation is wrong. We don't accept it. And that's just the way it started. And in Africa today, a lot of the young people are against taxation without representation. Okay? We even have a video that has been prepared by one of these American lawmakers who is really explaining the demerits of high taxation, the way high taxation kills African economies. How can you have development when you tax business to death? Most of those businesses, say for example Nike, instead of locating a plant in Nigeria, they will prefer to locate it in Asia, where the taxes are very low. So that way they make more money from their production. You don't have to be a genius of economics. Even with simple O-level economics, you can understand these concepts. When you tax the people too much, it's not good for the economy. They will not create jobs. Okay? Businesses will run away. Businesses go after good money. And that's a problem we're seeing in a lot of African countries. Let me take a minute so you watch this video by an American lawmaker talking about the negative part of taxation, the way taxation precludes the opportunity for development in Africa. Watch the video for a minute.
Nice idea, but it won't help.
High taxes.
It'll just formalize the reality that poor countries can never repay their loans.
Senator, are you saying that you're opposed to debt relief for impoverished countries?
No, we should forgive the debts, but that's not going to help those countries very much.
Okay. What will?
Tax cuts.
Thank you.
Some African tax rates are the highest in the world. In Tanzania, the 30% rate kicks in at $475 of income.
30%.
Plus, they have a 20% value-added tax. It gets added to everything you buy. Those high tax rates make it impossible to build capital in those countries.
Thank you.
So nothing gets built, not factories, not roads, not anything.
Nothing.
Poor African countries have the lowest wage workers in the world. And yet a company like Nike, for instance, can't put a factory in one of those countries because of the oppressive tax rates. Taxes have killed any possibility of economic development. They've killed any hope of these countries ever helping themselves. And that leaves them completely at the mercy of charity and loans.
Thank you.
And here's the worst part. You know why those countries have such high tax rates? Because of us. To show us that they can raise enough money to pay back their loans. But taxes can't raise any money if they kill the economies.
Thank you.
So it turns out that the tragic, unintended consequence of our good intentions toward Africa, our kindness, is that we have encouraged those countries to lock themselves into a gruesome economic depression. If we don't urge those countries to cut their tax rates, they will never grow their economies.
True.
People will live lifetimes of unemployment. Disease will be rampant. Poverty will be permanent. And children will be hungry. And our charity will never be enough.
Never.
Never.
Thank you for watching this video. So we're going to take you now, since you've also seen the backdrop of the Boston Tea Party inspiration. That's what is inspiring the African youth to rebel, to revolt. Most of these African youth, they look at their presidents as puppets. The puppeteers are the Western guys with the multinationals. They pull the strings behind, then the president is acting just like a little puppet. Look at, for example, what happened in America a few weeks ago. William Ruto came to the United States. He was feted in Washington like a big guy. Yet his people were very, very angry. They were asking him a lot of questions and he did not want to answer their questions. He ran away. When he went home, he thought things would just be business as usual. The people decided to hold him into account. That's just the beginning of the revolt in Kenya. So a lot of you have been asking me, Prince Ojong, what really happened? Well, the revolt in Kenya has remote causes and it has immediate causes. The remote causes have to do with the fact that the government of William Ruto is a puppet of the West. William Ruto was running for president. As a candidate, he presented himself as the Robin Hood of the poor. He will be stealing from the poor Africans and giving it, he will be stealing from the rich Kenyans and giving it to the poor Africans. But now, while in office, the people are seeing the reverse. William Ruto instead is stealing from the poor people and giving to the rich. He's taxing the poor and giving the money to the rich. So even the parliamentarians are beholden only to William Ruto. So they don't really respect the people who voted them into power. So this has really angered the average Kenyan voter. Then, of course, the martyrs of freedom, the people who died so that William Ruto should not pass this finance bill, they understand politics. They are very, very savvy. We've told you already. William Ruto could not believe the way they organized very fast. He was thinking that these young people were financed by an outside power organization. No. The people use social media and the internet to rally very quickly. Before William Ruto's social security services could react, the people were everywhere en masse. William Ruto even sent uniformed police officers to kill unarmed protesters. And this is what made things even worse for his government. He thought he could use might, brute force, to intimidate the people. But the people decided that they're going to die as martyrs of freedom in Kenya. And that they did. As we speak, a lot of funerals are taking place in Kenya. Okay, they're taking place in Kenya because the people decided that William Ruto is a fraud. This guy presented himself as the friend of the poor. He's going to fight for the poor. But when he got into office, he became the champion of the rich. And that's what really dismayed a lot of young Kenyans. Most of them have left school, they need jobs, and they were thinking that they found a friend, William Ruto. He's going to help them get better jobs, work on the economy. Little did they know, William Ruto is beholden to the interests of the rich. And this is what really serves as a backdrop. And besides, William Ruto is a very corrupt guy. He only cares about his family. So he steals money and feeds his family. People are even angry. His wife is not an elected official of Kenya. But a big part of the budget is spent to prepare her office, run the office. So the Kenyans are asking, we did not elect you as a politician. To the questions that Kenyans started asking, then matters came to a head. Then, of course, what is the immediate cause of these protests? The immediate cause is the finance bill. The finance bill was just like the final nail hitting the coffin, okay? That's the final nail because the people were not happy with the status quo. They thought William Ruto would change course. Yet, he tried to ram this finance bill down the throats of average Kenyans. And they said, no, this cannot be. He started calling them criminals, and they decided to fight back. Over 26 people have died, but they are martyrs of freedom. We call martyrs of freedom. So the blood of these martyrs has watered the democracy of Kenya. And that's what happens. The youth, Generation Z, they said they were ready to die. They've paid handsomely with their lives to bring democracy to Kenya. The same thing happens when Abraham Lincoln was talking about the Gettysburg Address. The blood of martyrs in America watered the freedom that we're enjoying today. So there's no freedom that is free. People pay dearly with their blood. And that's what has happened in Kenya. But we know that things are not going to be easy for William Ruto because as the young Kenyans are burying their dead, they are thinking of what to do with the devil, William Ruto. He may decide to hang in there, but it will not be easy for him to run the country. Already, Uhuru Kenyatta has come out to speak. When we listen to Uhuru Kenyatta, he speaks like a politician, but you don't have to be a master of communication to know on whose side he is. He's on the side of the people. He thinks his successor has made a lot of mistakes. He uses the word leadership and leaders, but he doesn't call the name William Ruto. But when you listen to Uhuru Kenyatta, you know that he's putting the blame, he's heaping the blame on one guy, William Ruto. That's where the blame should be. And we'll leave it at that.
$25,000 to $250,000 per year made easy. Do you dream about making big money? Well, we all do. Imagine joining pharmacy professionals to earn good money. Statistics show that the big pharma industry rules and controls America like a colossus. Do you want to find more details about the hidden gem? Join the Pharmacy Success crew now. Become a pharmacy professional today. Let us train you as pharmacy techs, foreign pharmacy graduates, USA pharmacy students. Learn to earn. We offer affordable online and offline programs. Act now. Browse our website for details, pharmacyprof.com, or call 301-760-0335.
Next, we take it to Ambazonia and LRC. A lot of news is breaking out in Ambazonia. The war continues. People continue dying, but there is no dialogue. Biya had his monologue where he choreographed people to meet, pass out green envelopes with money. He thought the Anglophones would keep quiet and it would be business as usual. What happened? Well, the Anglophones said, we're 2 cubes of sugar, but we're not going to dissolve. We don't need a monologue. We need a dialogue where we speak and you speak. If you've chosen to speak for us, then we'll leave you alone. So what the Biya government needs to do is to release most of these people in jail. This week, a lot of you sent us a lot of documents dealing with the terrorism bill in Cameroon that was passed in 2014. This bill was passed, was made into law. It made it possible for civilians to be tried by military courts. We know from studying international law that this is illegal. The terrorism bill is a weaponization against lawyers and freedom fighters. Whenever you're a freedom fighter, this new law targets you. In a country where we claim to be a democracy, lawyers cannot speak, okay? Then you have to face trial. Instead of facing trial in a civilian court, no, the military now judges you. These military folks do not have the competence to judge you according to international law. But the Biya government is a fraud. They do this even though they have signed treaties, international treaties, which stipulate that civilians cannot be judged in military courts. This week, you guys have given us a big document. This is a book, actually. I received this book from like 10 different viewers. So I decided that I would share the book because so many of you send me copies of this book. Some of the guys are part of the American Bar Association. When I look at the book, you guys use 2 cases, She Conrad and Thomas Jr. 2 guys who are perfect examples who have been abused by military courts in La République du Cameroon. The guys are journalists, freedom fighters, but they were taken to Yaoundé, imprisoned unfairly, then they are being tried in military courts. And this should not be. And I think that's the main news we have to share. And we're asking the government of Cameroon, release all these prisoners and sue for peace. Look for a way for dialogue. More and more people are dying, and this should not be. This needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped right away. And we're making the plight of most of these Cameroonians public so that the international community should become aware of what is happening in La République du Cameroon. Biya and his underlings are abusing international law. What they are doing is illegal. So when a government breaks the law, we need to show the hypocritical international community that they should not be supporting people who are breaking international law. So when they talk about terrorists, the journalist who is covering a story about a protest is not a terrorist. The terrorist is Biya Paul and his B regime. Those are the terrorists. So the journalists are not the terrorists. The terrorists are the people who arrest innocent people and kill them in cold blood in the name of Paul Biya. Those are the criminals. And we want the international community to know this. Okay? And we're sharing this internationally. Next, we take it to Congo DRC. There also, the young people have decided to join the fight. For a long time, we've been saying that the M23, supported by Rwanda, has been encroaching on Congolese territory, stealing their minerals. Then we ask ourselves, we know that Mobutu really weakened the army in Congo DRC. What are the young people doing? Are they ready to fight for their country? Most of them have answered the clarion call. Yes, they are ready to fight for their country. And now they are struggling to defend a city called Sake, S-A-K-E. They are being recruited, even though some human rights organizations do not like the fact that very young people are recruited into the army. But these guys have chosen to get into the army to fight for their country as patriots of Congo. Well, if more people like this would join the army, I'm sure there will be a difference. Because even now, the M23 has captured another city in the east, to the dismay of the government of Felix Tshisekedi. When this happens, it's a slap in the face, because the M23 and other rebel groups, they continue capturing towns and making fun of the weakness of the army of Felix Tshisekedi. So we watch this and tell you that things need to change. Then we take you to Niger. In Niger this week, we've seen that the Americans are reducing the number of their troops in the country as ordered by the military junta. So what is going to happen? The situation is precarious. The junta continues exerting pressure on the former president, Mohamed Bazoum. Now they are accusing him, they have to freeze his assets, they have to judge him, accuse him of treason. What is going to happen? There's a whole lot of pressure. The atmosphere is very tense in Niger. But we know that Niger has what these Europeans are dying for, uranium. Without uranium, they cannot really power their nuclear plants. So they will not let Russia take over Niger. So I know the way the Western guys do their things. They're going to fight to death. They may behave like they are withdrawing, but I know that they are not really withdrawing. It's just a tactic. They're going to look for ways to depose the government of Abdurrahman Tiani, the general of the junta. They're going to look for ways to overthrow him. Next, we take you to Nigeria.
Tired of waiting in long lines at the emergency room or your doctor's office? You should be. Why wait in long lines for care? It's time for you to come to Lucille Urgent Care. Real care, no waiting. Lucille Urgent Care, the best place for true and loving care. Service at Lucille Urgent Care is convenient, fast, time efficient, affordable, accessible, transparent, and cost effective. Real treatment is your right. Indeed, it's not just a privilege or pejorative. Skip the emergency room's long lines, kiss the ER goodbye, say farewell to your old doctor's office, pay less, save time, enjoy the excitement of convenience, receive immediate treatment, get the healthcare you need quickly and affordably. Lucille Urgent Care offers many express services: rapid COVID-19 testing, on-site prescription, preventative lab services, imaging and x-rays, urgent medical treatment for common illnesses and injuries, routine vaccines and flu shots, work-related injury services, pre-employment, occupational, annual, and sports physicals, immigration exams, and much more. Same-day treatment, rapid lab results, extended hours, weekend hours, no appointment necessary, no insurance necessary, no doctor necessary, walk-ins accepted, telemedicine available. We are open 7 days a week with evening and weekend hours. We are located in Maryland. Lucille Urgent Care, 903 Half York Road, Towson, Maryland, 21204. Website, lucilleuc.com. Call at 443-275-1286 or 301-593-4897.
In Nigeria, we have the same story. When you look at what is happening in Nigeria, the same things that happen in Kenya to create the protests are happening in Nigeria. And I'm very confident of the young people in Nigeria. Okay? They know how to fight for their rights. You cannot suppress them for too long. So what I see in Kenya is going to happen in Nigeria very, very soon. The young people are frustrated. The Naira is weak. Then there's a whole lot of corruption. The APC was complaining, oh, the PDP is corrupt, but the APC has too many corrupt elements. They are stealing money and using this money the wrong way. Even during the days of Buhari, we have stories showing the way the customs would arrest a guy, seize vehicles, then the vehicles are returned. Is this a good thing? No, the guy basically has to enjoy his loot. He steals from the government. When he is caught, he has stolen. It's okay for him to steal from the government. So what is happening is because these thieves are part of the APC, right from the time of Muhammadu Buhari. And they continue to be there. Is Bola Tinubu going to do anything different? Well, what we're seeing him do differently is ghost workers. We told you last week that he's trying to go after workers who have fled Nigeria. They are living overseas, say in London, and they are still receiving their salary. So this phenomenon of ghost workers will continue, and it's going to take time for him to really arrest them. The guys are laughing because I saw a story in BBC. One of the Nigerian guys who is in London, he's a cab driver. He says he receives over $100 a month for his salary from Nigeria. He said, well, if Bola Tinubu thinks that he can take that money from me, I'm still better off in London. I'm making more money. And that's the feeling. But the worst that really happened in Nigeria this week, a female suicide bomber, she detonated her bomb in 3 different places. At a wedding party and other places where 2 other events were taking place. Over 42 people died. This is really sad. But what is happening? When is Nigeria going to be able to come up with a solution to this problem of kidnapping and jihadists killing people? The militarization strategy is not working. They can say, oh, we've degraded their power. You've not. The people decide to kill people when they want. And the government doesn't have soldiers whenever they want to kill people. So we need to tell the Nigerian government to look for a different strategy. We can craft a strategy for them. And what we're saying is stop relying excessively on militarization. You need to look at other techniques to make sure that this problem is studied. Create a fertile ground. Make crime not to pay. Right now, to kill people is good business. But make it in such a way that people should not be accepting recruitment from Boko Haram agents. Right now, people feel like it's a good deal to join Boko Haram and work for them because they are making money. Create other avenues of income for Nigerians so that they should not be lured into this Boko Haram trap. Okay? So this is really urgent. Finally, we take you to Senegal. Senegal has just had a new government. We are watching this new government. Last week, President Faye was in Paris. He even met with former President Abdou Diouf. They have been talking about freezing French assets, changing the French franc. When President Faye met Emmanuel Macron, what did they talk about? Did they discuss all these issues? Well, these are politicians. You will not really know what they talk about, but soon we'll be able to find out and we'll tell you. So a lot has happened in Africa, and we've shared this with you. But we say, please watch our show. We have businesses that we're running, and we're asking you to support the businesses that advertise on this show. We have the Pharmacy Prof classes, where we're helping people who want to train as pharmacists. We also have other businesses like real estate, insurance. So if you have any problem, you want to start a business, we're the right people for you to talk to. Okay? You can call me 301-760-0335 and we'll be able to guide you. It doesn't matter where you are in the States. We can help you come up with even a business plan and guide you all the way. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.